Municipal Planning Commission, at least I do know where I am. I'm going to start tonight with the citizens forum. The mayor, I think, has a little something you'd like to say.
Well, if any of you have not heard, our first mayor, Bob Leonard, passed away this week. That's why the town flags are at half-staff, and his funeral will be on Saturday.
He was instrumental in a lot of these ordinances that we're here to talk about, so we'd like to send their sympathy out to his family. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to make that do not have to do with any items that's on the agenda? I think we have some scouts here tonight. I'd like for them to come up if they would and just tell us, give us their name, their troop number, and what badge they're working on. We always appreciate them coming.
Hello, I am Justin Machado from Troop 444, and we are here to observe your meeting for a communication fair badge.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. Got one more. We'll get you all. Just tell us your name and tell us your troop number.
Hi, my name is Joey Barnett, and I'm with Troop 444, here to complete my communications fair badge.
Okay, thank you all for coming. We hope we can give you some insight into how government works. Do you have anyone else that has any comments? Then we'll move on to the approval. Do you have anything? We'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the October the 18th, 2012 meeting. Do we have any changes, corrections to be made? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No, I have to abstain. I was somewhere. I'm sure I remember.
It was Tuesday, it must have been Moscow. Discussion and public hearing on a site plan for the surgery expansion and renovation of the Telenova Turkey Creek Medical Center, 10820 Parkside Drive, parcel 31.06, tax map 131, 19 acres, zone C-1-3, Marquez Rowland, Thomas Miller, and Partners applicant.
In your packet, I included an aerial photograph of the area where the expansion is going to occur, highlighted, identified with the rectangle on the screen, black dash line. This is about a 4,700 square foot expansion, and that will need some modification to the existing surgery center. The expansion is on the second floor of the building, so the ambulances where they enter the area will remain the same, but it will be covered. This gives you an overview. The north is the bottom of the sheet, and so the Parkside's at the bottom of the sheet in this particular one. And the area that's hashed is the area where the overhang is going to be built, and the solid colored area is the stairwell, the emergency stairwell out of the surgery center. So that's the one portion of it that's actually going to be a ground elevation. The expansion is going to match the existing building, and at your places I included staff recommendations, and we are recommending approval of this site plan subject to providing the calculated fire flow and meeting all time requirements.
Is anyone with the applicant here? Would you just come up to the microphone, please, in case somebody has some questions for us, for you? You'll give us your name and address.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Brad Stockton. I'm part of the administration team at Turkey Creek Medical Center.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. What does that thing look like? So it's overhangs, open areas.
So So if you've been to the back side of our facility, sir, where the ambulances are now backing in, this is where the project is actually going to be taking place. So it's actually going to be built on an elevation where it allows for us to hopefully future expansion of our emergency department. But it's actually going to be built on the back side of the hospital where you see our emergency sign from the Kingston Pike Lowell Road intersection.
Ultimately, probably, building something underneath it.
Potentially, that's the long-term plan, is as we look to potentially expand our emergency department as well in the future. We've seen tremendous growth at our facility over the past 12 months, and one of those is obviously surgery, and hence why we're asking for to build 2 additional ORs. In addition, our ER is also seeing significant growth, where we find ourselves maybe having to look to expand our emergency department in the coming months as well. Yes, sir.
Anyone else have any questions?
I'll make a motion for it. I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Ed, you want to make the second?
Item number 4, discussion of an amendment to the Farragut zoning ordinance, chapter 4, to create a grand opening special events permit section.
Over the last while, we have made some amendments to our regulations with regards to the special event permit, the group-based outdoor sales, and the celebratory ordinance. And all of these ordinances are to accommodate our business community. After we finished up with these regulations, and if you remember from the special event permit ordinance, what we have is the signage that's 20 square feet that includes 50% that they can shop at Farragut. But the intent behind that is that there is, the signs can be reused. Because most small businesses, purchasing signs like this, it's an expense for their business. And so, after we had all these adopted, some business owners came to the FBA and they stated, we really need a separate grand opening. So the reason for that being is that, we all agree that the Costco's and the JCPenney's, they make a big splash whenever they come to the community. They get a lot of press release, but I don't think most of us most of you all realize just how many new businesses we do have coming to town that are smaller owner-operated enterprises. They may be franchises, they may be independents, but they're still locally owned and very small. And the idea of going out and purchasing another sign really is kind of an expense, that especially when they use the sign after that point. And also, even though we all know that ultimately it's customer service and your product that brings people back, and it's not large signs that bring people to business, but there does have to be a way to get the word out that, hey, this business is now open. We do issue sign permits, permanent sign permits, once a building permit is issued, we can issue a sign permit. So for example, if I am opening a business in the, next to Einstein Bagels, which is going to be a yogurt restaurant, they can get their sign permit, get their sign up while they are working and finishing up the tenant space inside. So people can drive by and go, oh, there's something new coming, kind of thing. But it's really difficult to get the word out. It's like, yes, today we are now open, please come in and visit our establishment. And so the idea with this is to brand the grand opening signage. And that we would allow a larger sign, 32 square feet, that the town would actually purchase the grand opening signs. And when we had the meeting, we talked about black with white letters and different things. And then we decided to go with dark blue with white letters, kind of our screen is before you. Because the dark background makes the white letters pop, and plus with being Farragut's colors are blue and white, that by branding this signage, when people see that blue sign with the white letters, it's like, oh, there's a brand new business that's opening at this, this center or at this location. all become familiar with it. And that we would leave a corner of the sign blank so that they could add personalizing it, just like their Velcro, so they could affix things to it so that they would have a business name and that sort of thing. But also that during that same time frame, they would be able to use what we would often consider as the special event permit sign. So that there's a little bit of extra pop out there to let people, to notify people that, hey, this business is now open. And we would require the grand opening signs to, be constructed out of the same 10 millimeter corrugated plastic, just like the shop Farragut signs and everything. And have the same height, mounting height requirements and everything, and the setback requirements. But rather than having a 10-day maximum, we're going to go with a 20-day maximum, that they can post the sign for 20 days. So they would have the grand opening sign, plus they could have their, what you would think of as their future special event permit sign up. The grand opening sign would be rented from the town, and they would get their money back for whatever damage to the sign, or as long as they didn't leave it up too long, and they would forfeit it, that kind of thing. But the sign couldn't be posted until the business would actually be open. The reason for that being, if you put up a grand opening sign and people come in and it's not open, that just frustrates people. So the idea is that you have that pop, hey, we are now open, please come in and visit. And then this would not count toward their 4 special event permits. Now, obviously, if you are having your grand opening in October, having your grand opening count as your special event permit isn't that big a deal because you have such limited opportunity at the tail end of the year. But if you are opening in January, it does limit you to how much you can do in the future then for special events type thing. Oftentimes we've talked in the past about we don't want to overdo the signage and that sort of thing, and as you know, staff is supportive of that. In this particular case, you only have one grand opening. It's not like you have a grand opening, every year you're gonna have a grand opening. It is a one-shot deal. And smaller businesses in particular are looking for a little bit of help getting the word out. Even though we all do the social media and we see a lot of different ways of hearing about it, the fact is when you drive by and see the sign, that is probably still one of the more effective ways of getting the information out needed to see it at that point in time. I included in your packets a list of all the things that I just went over of what this would include. And so the purpose of tonight's discussion is to get your feedback on this and your thoughts, see where you would like to go in this direction. Allison Souza is here with the FBA, and she has talked to some businesses also. Like I said, we had a meeting for the public that Allison sent out to business owners to participate in this process. And so this is kind of what, based on that meeting and our thoughts on the front end, this is what we're presenting with you tonight.
This is for discussion only tonight.
Correct.
Allison, you got good feedback to bring?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the reason, Allison Souza with Farragut Business Alliance, the reason we even brought this to the town was in one of our monthly mingle and meets. This issue actually came up as a discussion point. It was the event that was held at Einstein Bagels. There was quite a bit of discussion that night about the fact that there's an understanding for why the signage ordinance exists, but there's just this one chance to really make a pop. So I came to Ruth and talked with her a little bit about it. And, it's an ordinance, yes, but I keep telling people it's a happy ordinance because what we're trying to do is expand the opportunity, not restrain it. So real good feedback. Folks are excited at the opportunity for additional exposure.
You know what I like about this one? I think it does a couple things. First of all, it does help the businesses. And second, it's on the same path that we this is good. I really like this. And thank you, as always, for all the effort you put in this. We thank you.
Well, and this is a really good case study too of something happening very organically, a discussion starting out in the community, bringing it to the FBA bringing it to the town responding, and now it's before you. So, you know, it's a good case study on what can be done if there's just a little bit of communication.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Not part of Bruce. If you have the special event at the same time as a grand opening, that's one special event, it would not.
Actually, what we would, was part of this, we would allow them to have their personally owned sign, the 20 square foot sign that could be posted simultaneously, because that'll be a little bit more personalized, whereas the grand opening is really just gonna say grand opening with a bit of information in the corner. And they would be able to post that sign simultaneously with the grand opening sign, and neither of them would count toward a special event.
So they could have 4 more special events.
Correct.
Okay. Taking Einstein Bakery and the one you're talking about, is there room for 2 signs out in front of it?
On that, the reason I used the orange leaf as an example is because Einstein Bagels is the one who brought it, that was at the grand opening that this came up, but also because that fronts on 2 roads. And in the backup information, you know, that it would be allowed that when you have 2 road frontages, then there would be allowed to have a grand opening sign posted on each of these road frontages. So in that particular case, there could be a sign posted on Parkside Drive and on North Campbell Station Road. Our requirement would be, just like in our regular sign ordinance, is that the signs be posted 150 feet apart, so that you kind of get around the corner, so you're really targeting the 2 different, you're targeting the cars on Parkside Drive, and you're also targeting the cars on Campbell Station Road. The other sign, the smaller 20 square foot sign, would be, they could post as long as it met the requirements anywhere on the site. We don't have a requirement. That might be something we want to say, that we want that near their building entrance or something like that, since we have the grand opening. And that's a good point to bring up if we want to restrict where that sign is posted. We don't want them too close together, but at the same time, you know, you want it clear, okay, let's say that center's really easy, there's not that many places in that center. But you come up with some of our larger centers, like Stonecrest Shopping Center, for example, and you have the grand opening sign posted at Kingston Pike, you can get in there and you're like, which business is new, you don't know, and so maybe we do want to require that the special event permit sign be posted near their building entrance or near their entrance. It's not, if it's a freestanding business, it's not really a big issue. If you are in a center, it is kind of confusing with noise.
That does bring up, how do you measure the 150 feet?
It's not as hard as,
I mean, do you go right angles if it's on the corner, or do you go right?
it's 150 feet like a radius.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I guess my question to the commissioners is everybody okay with this, or do you want to quibble over details?
I think it's a great idea. And I like the fact that the signs all look the same, and it's just the break of everything in the area, I think it's fantastic.
So Ruth will put this all together.
Yeah, is there anything else, because I need to know exactly, because it's the devil's in the details when it comes to writing the ordinance. I think Betty made a really good comment about that other sign, and I think it sounds like placing it near the entrance would make sense, so that you kind of know where it is. Is there anything else in going through the information in here? To kind of recap, a lot of this information is what we already have with the special events permit, and the difference primarily being is that the town is going to be providing these signs. There will be a fee that, of course, would be, I didn't put that in here because that's actually determined by the mayor only. But with regards to the height, setbacks, all that's consistent with our other ordinances, so I want to be consistent in that respect, so that we don't have to learn
always gonna be some unique situation perhaps that an individual business has. And I think we need to allow them some flexibility on where the best place to put their own sign is. I understand what Betty's saying, and I think common sense would dictate that in almost every instance. But I think there's times in a situation like this, we need to leave a little bit of flexibility that fits each situation. I think we have this tight enough, but I'm not sure we can tighten it even more.
I would caution you against limiting it too much as well, otherwise it's no longer happy.
Is there flexibility to put the sign out close to the street?
Yeah, the setback is the same as what we have with everything else, and this is primarily because it's safe visibility and things. It's 20 feet from the edge of pavement and 10 feet from entrance driveways, so that when you're pulling out or whatever, that you don't have the sign blocking these.
So as she has it here this weekend.
I'm very happy with this.
So next time we will have this ready for us. We'll move on to item number 5, which is also for discussion only purposes. We won't be voting on those tonight. Discussion of amendment to the Farragut zoning ordinance, chapter 4, section 13, outdoor site lighting to establish wall-mounted light heights.
At the last meeting, when we were talking about the 4-story, 70-foot maximum height from the music district, and we talked about lighting, wall-mounted lights in particular, and that when we have a taller building, remember when we were doing the signage at the Foxwoods building next to Sweet Briar, one of the comments was people didn't want additional signage because of that lighting. That is more invasive than it does go farther or whatever, set at above elevation of the houses and that sort of thing. So that the whole intent of having the building lights like that is really to light during the sidewalks, entranceways, that sort of thing. And so it was agreed on at that meeting that we would limit the height of the wall lights to 15 feet. And so I included in your packets I'm not sure why the color copy is red, but it is underlined. It's on the second page.
It's ready.
Here's the, well, some of ours aren't, some are. That's kind of weird. Our copy apparently is different. Anyway, so I've included that. The other thing that has come up since our last planning commission meeting was whenever Costco came in, staff had requested that they put the exterior glare shields on the back side of their pole lights because pole lights is being located below grade, so that even if you have a light that's fully compliant, if you're below grade, it's still shining right at you. And they very willingly did that. We have since, Publix is also located above grade in adjoining residential areas, and we're working with the developer now to add the exterior glare shields. They're working on adding those because it is, when you're down at the residence, it is very bright with that. And so, since we were amending the section dealing with the lights, I added on number 4 that if the pole lights are located adjacent to properties owned residential or agriculture, and such land is below the pole base elevation, exterior glare shields shall be added to the pole lights. All that does is that if there's a parking lot, a good example is I'll use the Renaissance, which is actually below grade. Adding glare shields really would be an unnecessary expense. But in the case when you are above elevation, they really do make for a much better neighbor to the residential properties and things. And so, since this came up, since the last planning commission meeting, and we were looking at amending the lighting ordinance, I figured I'd include that in this discussion. And we're okay with that.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I like it. It's good.
it isn't, and really what it is it just kind of makes people cognizant of it, because what's happened to Publix, I don't think anybody really realized that negative externality and how that was going to affect it. And so this is kind of on the front end, hey, need to think about this, please add this.
Anyone else? We have enough of us.
Ruth, yes, if you all are okay with this, then I will prepare the amendment for next time.
Item number 6 is discussion of amendment to the Farragut zoning ordinance, chapter 4, section 1. Accessory structures to require HVAC screening to be architecturally compatible and to rename section of the accessory structures and use. This also is for discussion purposes only.
We talked about this at the last meeting because we already had this on there to amend the accessory structures, the name of this section 1, chapter 4, to accessory structures and uses, and then to change the first sentence to say structures and uses. And this is just to clarify if anybody has, any questions or whatever, as to whether something is a structure or a use and being accessory. And as I explained, the board of zoning appeals had made a determination. This is really clarifying the board of zoning appeals determination. We had talked about at the last meeting when we were talking about the 4-story building zoning district again, about the screening for HVAC units being architecturally compatible with the buildings that are being constructed. One of the things that we run into is that people will build parapets and then they'll put their HVAC units, and inevitably there always seems to be a disconnect how large these HVAC units are going to be. And they end up having to add more screening. We usually say, and if you read your letters carefully, it's pretty much a comment in every one of these letters, please make sure this is going to cover it. Because we don't want to have to be the bad guys on the back end and say, now you're going to have to do something extra, and that kind of thing. But what we talked about at the last meeting was requiring the screening to be architecturally compatible with the principal building. What we didn't talk about, and I'd like to get some clarification from you all tonight, is whether we're just talking about if they're roof-mounted units, or if we're talking about if they're ground-mounted. And I want to, we'll kind of talk about this a little later when we talk about the 4-story zoning district. But I want you to think about that carefully, because currently when we say that, we require that the units be screened with opaque materials so that, and they're not visible from adjacent properties of rights of way. So oftentimes we have ground units that have like shadow box, wood fences around them. And the shadow box allows the air to flow through. They're easy to take down because you have to service the unit, or if you have to change the unit, you have to enlarge it because they're higher energy efficient. HVAC units are bigger, physically bigger than the older units, and you can expand them fairly easily. If we have a brick building, then you're requiring a brick type of enclosure, but you still need to design to get the airflow. So you're going to be bigger so that enough airflow can get in there, or you're going to do some kind of lattice looking thing with brick. And so we can, one of the things we might want to do is say that they have to be located not in the front yard or something like that. But just because of the expense with that and dealing with this for many years, I want you all to think about that carefully. The HVAC units on the roof, I think that's great. You know that they do raise the parapets large enough to accommodate. But there are some things to think about. Now, in the case of a 4-story building, that's part of the integral of what their whole package is. And it's not always such a comprehensive thought on the front just wanted to get some feedback from you, because we talked about it briefly, but we didn't get into the details of it at the last meeting, and then when I was putting the amendment together and reviewing it, and, because we actually are dealing with two businesses right now that have since opened since the last planning commission meeting, that are now going back and adding HVAC screens. So this is a common issue with where they think the parapet is covering it, and it actually doesn't cover it now. With a 4-story building, we certainly hope, a parapet would cover it. The issue is more on the shorter building than it is on the taller building. So I actually feel very comfortable in regards to the 4-story situation. I just think we need to look at the unintended consequences of this particular amendment and how best to address it.
Primarily in regards to the ground.
Well, also with the roof mount. Because, we are unique in East Tennessee that we require HVAC screening, but we are not unique in the United States by any stretch of the imagination. There are products out there, and they have perfected these products over the years, where now they are much more lightweight, unlike a single person can lift up or use. Because what was happening is the products that were out there were so heavy in the roof unit, the roofs themselves weren't designed to hold that heavy of a screen unit in addition to the HVAC unit, and then there's also wind loads that you have to take into consideration. And now there's products out there that actually are much lighter, they can be wind loads, the roof structure doesn't have to be as expensive, you can still accommodate them, and that sort of thing. So the issue is, do you want to require it across the board for roof units that a screen needs to be architecturally compatible? Do you want to require it across the board that ground mounted HVAC units be architecturally compatible? Do you want some variation there?
Well, it depends on how you define architecturally compatible.
Architecturally compatible is when it has built of the same materials, and if you look up in the ordinance that's before you, the same wording is used in the dumpster.
But if you're talking about screening and that sort of thing, you can, and lightweight screening, you can look like brick, not be brick.
Stuff we've seen today doesn't look anything like brick. So I don't know, Nick might know of some that is, but I haven't seen any that is.
I suspect you can make it with manufactured stuff. Pretty much like the same building. Bricks.
I like the idea. I want to, be cognizant of that and balance costs, but I like the idea of having all the different types of units that we've mentioned, being screen compatible. And I think about the office building on right behind her, and I don't know what Knox County's facilities, you'll be interested in this building. There's an HVAC unit out back that is 20 feet tall, and it is brick all the way around. And quite frankly, it looks okay. Doesn't look bad. It blends in with the building enough where I look at it every day and I don't notice it there. Now, the other thing is, most of this equipment, to the best of my knowledge, and I'm certainly not an HVAC specialist, most of that equipment is designed to last 20 years. So, with that said, there's always going to be something with the building. And in my limited construction experience, that as materials evolve and different pieces of equipment evolve, that the building may have to be modified to accommodate it in the future. So, where I'm at right now is, I don't see that being a significant problem. In most cases, I don't think the cost would be relatively
were you thinking? We ran into the same problem with the chamber building at the City Hall Bridge, that it was on the north side of the turnpike across from the City Hall. And what did you look at? You kind of missed the building and all you saw was the HVAC units. And they went back and they retrofitted it eventually because there were so many complaints about it. And, so there's no doubt that making the architecturally compatible and maybe a little bit more thought on the front end, you know, is a desired outcome.
Does the HVAC, how different from building to building? Is it consistent based on the size of the building, the size of a unit?
It depends on how they, zone their building. Like you can have multiple units for a large, I mean, you can have more than one unit for a large building, or you can have one unit, and oftentimes they can include penthouses, that's on top of the building, by definition, it's a penthouse, kind of designed into the building. It really depends on how they design the building. There's a wide variety, and that's one of the issues. In fact, I specifically had a meeting this past week with an architect about a different project, and I mentioned the HVAC unit issue, and he said that as an architect, one of the mistakes that he has made is that you miscalculate that elevation change with where it's built in relation to, because our ordinance says visible from adjacent properties and rights. He says, you know, he just miscalculated, right? Well, a foot can make a big difference. And, you know, and he designed work elsewhere, so he deals with this elsewhere, not just in Farragut. And, yeah, so it's just one of those things where they may not have any idea of what size of things they need at the time they're designing the purpose.
I just wondered if the language should be a little more specific, because to your point about, depending on where you're standing and looking at the unit, if you think it's completely screened, it's not.
Well, it's from adjacent properties and rights of way, and they have had this aspect of the ordinance in place since 15 years or so. So, I mean, from that aspect, that part of it is ambiguous, that when we, you know, you drive by the road and like, all the contract notes, it's visible.
So we've had that requirement for screening for a long time. This is just adding the architectural element.
Yes. We have had the architectural element in with garbage dumpsters and recycling containers and compactors for years. I mean, same amount of time, we did that, but we required that on the front end of the architectural compatible. At the time when we did this with the HVAC unit, because of the very problems I was talking about with wind load and roof structures and that sort of thing, we didn't include the architectural compatibility, we just said that it needed to be okay to put materials going out of there. There were a lot more issues regarding that. So, Nick, just like he's got something to add, because I know he's dealt with this too.
Tell us who you are first, too.
I am Nick Myers of Myers Brothers Holdings, and yes, we have dealt with this a lot, and I didn't plan to speak about it, but I thought I'd add some thoughts that came to me as I was sitting there. I think that one of the thoughts that I had is that, you know, as tenants change a building, their needs often change. So even though you might have equipment that would last for X amount of time, if the load in that space were to change, they have computer room, say, whatever the case may be. And so we are in the facilities we have, it is pretty much once a week not necessarily out here, but in other properties that we have. And what Ruth talked about earlier, or alluded to, is that the size of the equipment's change. And when I'm kind of talking about the rooftops here, that the roofs aren't necessarily designed to carry the loads, and so there's issues there that need to be addressed. Every time you have to penetrate a roof, you have issues there you have to address. When you put a condenser on the roof, you actually build a curb up that picks it up so it's not sitting down where it could potentially get wet. And so I guess my thought would be is that if I was trying to put the verbiage together for this, is that I think it's really hard to think of a one-size-fits-all. For instance, when we built a Catholic church here in town, we spent months and months and months talking about where do we put the mechanicals, both inside and outside. And I can't tell you how many hours we talked about it, because we had spent so much time trying to create this architecturally a beautiful structure, but you still have to have mechanicals to serve it. And so there, we actually put them in the bell tower, is a bulk of them, and most people don't know they're there. Probably not the best place for them to be, because it's hard for them to breathe, but they are out of sight. We did build a structure in the back that carried some of the mechanicals, because the church there is very long. But I guess my point would be to make is maybe to consider, with hopefully not putting too much burden on whoever's building the building, but that they have a plan before they start construction. And that plan has to be reviewed as part of the submittal process of where the mechanicals are going to go. How is it going to be different? If they're sitting on top of a hill, maybe there's not anybody from an adjacent property. Maybe at the hospital that you all approved the plan today, that it doesn't matter. Nobody can see it where it is. But in a case like some of the ones I've done, where there's visibility from all around. So a great deal of care has to be taken into how is this going to specifically interact with this site. So I think maybe the thought is to not put so many constraints in the ordinance that say you have to do this and it has to be a certain height, because we don't know how these mechanicals are going to change down the road. But saying that you have to have a plan that's going to address these issues. I think the idea maybe we helped orchestrate was having it architecturally compatible, because most of the things when you drive around town that are not architecturally compatible, it's because they were trying to fix something after the fact. And it becomes very difficult because of these loads, and I have wind forces you have to address. Again, you're trying to penetrate a roof, and I understand you all talking about mechanical both on the ground and in here. So anyway, just something to think about. Maybe just simply having a plan up front of how you're going to address the issue, understanding that you have to meet certain requirements.
We actually do require that currently, and we oftentimes have read in the comment letter about right line of sight drawings, and in fact, the one that isn't in compliance, we have beautiful line of sight drawings showing that all the HVAC units are consistent. And then that was part of what they had to submit, because it is required as part of the site plan process, is to show where the HVAC units are. And sometimes crazy things to do. And we're
to have this architectural compatible within the town of Farragut, period, it would only appear to me that this would be a part of. We've talked about that in the past, be it brick or whatever we want as opposed to metal. But it would appear that that would just be a given, a part of it.
I just wanna make sure that everybody understands, I'm not against this, I just want you all to be fully understanding what it is that what this means.
My point on the compatible, I think that it should be architecturally compatible, but I don't think compatible ought to be the same as.
No, architectural compatible does not mean standards.
That's,
I mean, all you have to do is go look around our dumpsters and we know it doesn't mean that.
that was what my point is, didn't want to be interpreted. Other ways. It's really nice to have you thought about it.
I'm trying. It's harder than that. It's been hard. Some of it's been hard.
Dave, let me ask you a question. If you don't mind, and I really appreciate your comments, I have great respect for everybody. Going back to the mayor's comment, which I think really made this very simplistic in my mind, in a good way, if all we're doing is adding the wording, architecturally compatible, in light of everything else you communicated, would just that change? Everything else going to be the same, we just say we want architecturally compatible? Do you see that as being a problem?
No, I think that's great. I support that.
Okay.
Because what it does is that if you have somebody after the fact,
Yeah.
even though they've gone through all these steps and there are stamps on the drawings that say it has to meet the requirements, has to meet it, and then they failed to follow the rules, they failed to communicate, whatever the case is, that becomes a big deal to them. So, because they have to meet this now architecturally compatible requirement. So my suspicion is that the people that have looked over the requirement in the past will do that only once. Because, you know, if you have to go brick on parapet after the fact, that's not insignificant.
Thank you.
On the other hand, the term architecturally compatible is arbitrary. So,
There has to be judgment at some point in time, you have to have trustee staff to do that. We've been doing it for a long time with regards to the dumpster enclosures, and I invite you all to look right around town, there's some we have dumpster enclosures that predate. We had our.
I think that we ought to have some understanding within the staff of what are bounds of arbitrariness.
I think we kind of have a good idea at this point in time, we've been doing it for a long time.
So it's like if you see it, you know, right? You know when you
If
see
you
it.
have a brick building and someone comes in with a chain link fence with slats, like has been proposed, it's not architecturally compatible, you know that.
I think we've been able to do a good job of balancing that. What this does is it gives us the opportunity to say this doesn't work right now. It's very cool. So,
Yeah, right now the screening is just.
I think this is a good step forward. I don't think it's onerous at this point. I do appreciate the other comments you made. I think with what you have here, I think we're okay. Not that this, we won't look at it again in the future, a lot of these things, but I like this step forward.
Okay.
Also, if there are any questions, does this go before the committee, the
Board of Zoning Appeals is the adult body here for the staff certification. The other addition I made, because this was an interpretation a while back, compactors being included in screening requirements, rather than
Move on to item number 7, discussion of request to amend Farragut zoning ordinance to create a new 4-story building zoning district. My brother Coley Allen.
As we discussed at the last meeting, we put together a draft ordinance for this zoning district. And in summary, at the last meeting, we talked about the mounting heights of the wall lights of 15 feet. We talked about that earlier this evening. Prohibiting drive-through windows, drive-through lanes for restaurants as part of the zoning district. Amending the accessory structures, as we just talked about with regard to the HVAC screening. And then requiring additional landscaping or berm construction to limit the viewability of parking lots from adjacent streets. And then we also talked about the pros and cons of the minimum 20-foot building setback from all property lines. We primarily focused on that reduced setback will encourage parking lots to be in areas other than the front of the building, so that takes away from emphasizing the parking lot, but it emphasizes the architectural building, which is our goal. And the other thing is, the other aspect there was the concerns about creating a cavern canyon feel along Kingston Pike. Power lines being close to the building, limited space in the front yard for planting trees if you have above ground utilities. And then close proximity to the road affecting future road improvements. And we primarily talked about the addition of travel lanes, but that also could be bike lanes, doesn't just mean vehicle travel lanes. When we were going through the discussion, and Noah made an excellent point with regards to the next section of Kingston Pike, it's 100-foot right of way, but the actual roadway itself is 60 feet. And that, so you have 20 feet on either side of that, and that extra 20 feet is to accommodate utilities, turning lanes, expansions, walking trail sidewalks, that sort of thing. And then Nick suggested that maybe there be a greater setback at, like deceleration lanes, so that you won't get that narrowing, that you can kind of keep it proportional to that. And taking that into consideration, I talked to someone who suggested following the golden ratio, the golden mean to determine setbacks. That actually supports exactly what they are requesting, but it addresses the concerns about visual. It's all about proportionality, and this would keep that proportionality. Rather than measuring, we would measure from the property line with a minimum of 20 feet, but then if the real measurement is also from the edge of the pavement. Now, most deceleration lanes turn lanes where that would be triggered as part of this development. Now, in this particular case, all those improvements were already made on this particular lot because of the overall Renaissance development. Let's pretend we're not talking about this lot, and let's talk about a different lot. Whatever is occurring on that site is likely what's going to trigger construction of deceleration. So you're going to know what that is. I talked with Daryl about anticipated roadway improvements, and he said that the Knoxville Regional Mobility Plan has already identified the 7-laning of Kingston Pike between Smith Road and Penn Station Road. And so that is an example where that is in a long-range plan anticipated that this will be done. And so if a piece of property in this area, in that area, were rezoned to this new zoning district, that would be taken into consideration because that is an anticipated roadway improvement. Now, the other thing with it is that bike lane that's on Camp Station Road, and that is a 4-foot wide bike lane. And when you're driving, it doesn't look that wide. But there's more than one way to get a bike lane, and it's not just through adding pavement, it can also be acquired through narrowing the lanes. And in fact, ASHTO, at the left hand, I can't remember what that stands for, but it is an engineering document that is acknowledging that narrow lanes are suffice to meet travel public needs, and by doing so, then you can accommodate bike lanes. There's different theories on bike lanes that you actually don't strike a separate bike lane, you just have a narrower, like on Kingston Pike, for example, your left lane would be narrower and your right lane would be wider, so it would accommodate what you have enough room to go around the place. So the idea with this is that if you had a 70-foot building, that was an example I used in the staff write-up, and you divide it by 1.618, your setback would be 43.26 feet. That would be measured from the edge of pavement, or the anticipated edge of pavement. In this particular case, on the site that we're talking about the next item on the agenda, there's nothing in a long-term plan to set like Kingston Pike in this area. But if we anticipate the addition of a bike lane, the best thing for us to do would be to look at actual standards, figure out what the minimum lane width is, and then what the bike lane would be. So in this particular case, I think we would add, based on what I remember, add like 2 feet to the edge of the pavement. And that's assuming it's a 70-foot building, I think next thing you have like, what, 62, 63. So it really, what this does is really kind of prove what, and it addresses the concerns that we talked about at the last meeting, in my opinion. And when you, I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to Google it and look and watch some of the videos and everything. There's different arguments as to whether whether some of the things were intended to be this, but it does show that it does create the proportionality that people find to be appealing when looking at design. And this way of measuring it is way less complicated than the calculations for our OSR and OSMR, but it does provide the flexibility, I think, that I'm describing with this and addresses some of the concerns. But it also accomplishes what we're trying to do, is have buildings closer to the road and discourage parking lots between the buildings and parking lot between the buildings and the road. What are your thoughts on that? Right on?
You know, I like this a lot. I just, I know we have some people here tonight who want to talk about a specific site. Just to kind of set the table, we're really talking about 2 different issues just at this time. The first thing we're talking about is the zoning itself. The second thing is, that I know you're here about, is where the zone would be. You know, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I really think is, as we get the north side of the interstate, you know, this type of zone would be perfect, and could really become a focal point of our community. So, you know, when I read this, if I try to block out the Kingston Pike piece, you know, because we can get a little blinded sometimes when we think about just that. And as you've cautioned us over the years, you know, sometimes you need to take these things in pieces, because you can, in this case, we could become overly focused on the individual piece of property, and this zone could end up somewhere else as well. And I think the state of Florida, yeah, I'd like to see it. Otherwise, it's very great potential. But I like what we have here. I like this little tweak, using a technical term anyway. And I think we've got a great basis here to create a zoning district in our community that the potential to do some other wonderful things is very, very obvious.
I actually concur completely with
zoning districts, and number 2 on that same page, side and rear yards. We have all buildings shall be set back a minimum of 20 feet. When the abutting property is on residential or agricultural, buildings shall be set back a minimum of 100 feet. In some of our zoning districts, we actually say residential, and we also include buffers. Do we want to include a buffer zone in this list? Try to think of other areas in town where we don't rely on our standard buffer strip. We actually have separate freestanding buffer zones. The buffer zones that we have in town range from 25 feet wide to 100 feet wide. They are 100 feet wide along Parkside Drive and back to the Sweet Drive. They are 50 feet wide that back up to Costco. I think what's in, the last 2 are up to my, are completely by longer term memory, so maybe having this 2 weeks around. It seems like around by Derby Run Park, next to Sugarwood, that is 25, but it could be 35 feet. And then there along where we have the Goddard School adjacent to Fortin Place, I believe that one is 25 feet. So that we do have different buffer strip zones. Buffer zone. So the question is, do you want to include buffer zone in this so that it's a abutting property zone, residential buffer or agricultural? What are your thoughts on that?
Just to make sure, I think I understand what you're saying. If we had a buffer zone, let's just say 50 foot, it would be another 100 feet in addition to the 50, that's what we,
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking. Do you want that listed in here? Because as this is, if there is a buffer zone and it's only 25 feet, there being no additional setback requirement, even though on the other side of that buffer zone, there's a residential district. But like I said, we do have, obviously the one along Sweet Briar, that's probably a moot point in some respects with regards to this, because they already have 25-story zones there. Most of our other buffer zones are actually less than 50 feet. They are about 25 to 35 feet, possible ones a little bit more than 50 feet. So, I didn't really realize that until I was looking up something else this past week, and I realized that, and I'm like, we hadn't talked about it, we hadn't really thought about it, but what are your thoughts on it?
Excuse me. That's a great point, and I think what I heard you say is that if you had a buffer zone that was 25 feet and it was against a property that was zoned BD4, by default, it wouldn't be required 100 feet. And so I think that needs to be addressed. However, I think that the 25 feet should be counted somehow. So if you had a buffer that would, instead of all of a sudden there's a buffer that was put there at some point in time, primarily because we didn't have a zoning like this. Okay, so you're getting hit twice. So if you could take that into consideration. So again, let's just say you had a buffer strip, or let's say you had an R1, and then you had a buffer strip that was 25 feet. And then if we don't add anything to it, then they don't have to meet the 100-foot requirement. And I think they should have to meet it. But I think the 25 feet should be taken into consideration.
now, I would agree, I tell you, you start stacking it, you're chewing up a lot of property pretty darn fast.
Well, the 100-foot is, I mean, it's significant.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you consider how a property might be shaped. So it's, I mean, it is,
That's a lot, that's distance.
it's huge. And you've got to think about, I know the commission can't use basis to whether they do something or do not do something, my understanding
The
of the
lake
law.
has Board of Zoning Appeals at
Okay. But at the same time, when a person that's asking for the BD4, they're probably in a property that is pretty expensive on the scale of things, probably some of the most expensive land in the town. And if they are willing to give up this 100-foot, I mean, you know, we're talking a huge amount there. And I think it's good. I mean, we're getting some things in exchange, but you know, you don't want to put such constraints on it that you don't ever have anybody that applies for it, where it would be a good fit if it was next to a buffer.
Yeah, I agree. I would give them credit for the buffer. Because when you start going from 100 to 125 feet or 150 feet, getting into your
Yeah, I mean, if they had a 100-foot buffer, you might have 200 feet.
Yeah. It's like the 100 feet, which you stated, is built in there for a purpose, and take it beyond that, I just don't see the need for that.
I will craft some language to include setback from the buffer zone, that with the buffer zone, that we would intend to consider total within 100 feet. Somewhere protected ordinance, we want to see what works best. To give you a history of where that, why we have some buffer zones around town, is that we had buffer strips as part of our zoning ordinance, but they were, an example where they were not required was when, for example, I am the red food and I am developing my property, and I front on 3 roads. And so none of the roads had buffer strips, even though right across the street was a house. And so what the town did to protect those houses was zone buffers around it, so that the development had to protect those houses. Now, if you just switch the page, you see where we say that a buffer strip is required when it's a local street and it's zone residential across it. And we added that probably about 14 years ago to address that concern of when we have development that's commercially oriented, that fronts on a street, right across the street is residential. And so the idea was, in early years, they did these B1 zones, and now we've written it into the ordinances to protect. And then there was also a special exception process with the apartments, and that's why I mentioned urban run. That wasn't a separate zoning district, that was just allowed as a special exception through the R2 zoning district, which the R2 zoning district was normally a single-family attached zone. Happy Fox Run, Sugarwood, Fort West, Old Stage Hills, all of those are zoned R2, which would have been a special exception. So what the Board of Zoning Appeals did, as they were going through this, is they were having part of the approval process that the peripheries were zoned B1 to protect, buffer the adjoining lower density residential development. So that's the history of why we have some of these B1 districts in odd locations. But I will craft that language so that it's the 100 feet, so they maintain 100 feet from the residential. The other question that I had that we talked about in the last meeting was in the last page of the ordinance, page 5, dealing with parking. It is agreed that when the parking lot is constructed adjacent to a front property line, berm shall be constructed or landscaping shall be planted so as to limit the viewability of the parking lot from the street. One of the things that we didn't talk about is, do we want to require landscaping above and beyond what is currently required in our landscaping requirements? Because there's ways to do this under the existing landscaping requirements. This is like we're just kind of concentrated in this area instead of spreading it out. And do you want to prescribe a certain percentage? Let's say we say, 50% kind of screen. The idea is, you don't wanna make, take screen where you have 100%, because it's probably not realistic when you're using landscaping from the standpoint of, you're certainly not gonna get that when you first plant it. And if you do, you're gonna regret it in about a year or two. And then the other thing is, you don't want it to look so sterile, because that planting can become sterile in and of itself. And so that you want, clusters of pockets, that you have some trees and some bushes and things like that. You have some here and some here. What's your all's preference in that respect? Do you want additional landscaping and then prescribe and say, let's say 50%, or I'm just throwing that number out, I'm not finding it. What's your all's thoughts on that?
What would be the benefit of that?
The
Aesthetic or?
Yeah, because part of the intent is to emphasize building rather than the parking lot. It's a preference. I'll use the city of Knoxville portion of parking lot there where Marble Slab used to be. It's there now, Marble Slab. You have, like, they're evergreen, they're not box trees, because that's just growing, it's fast growing. But you kind of have this hedge that goes through there. It's very kind of generic looking, but that's because their parking lot setback from the road is very limited, whereas we still have that 20-foot setback. So there's a lot more room to be creative, like I was talking about, cluster of bushes here, and a tree, and then have some grass. You can be a little bit more creative because we require a little bit more room for that, so. What's the idea is, do you want to camouflage the parking lot more?
What would the standard produce?
It gives the applicant complete flexibility for the most part. We have shade tree requirements within so many feet of parking spaces and things, but we really, our landscape ordinance, and now, since they have dealt with it as applicants rather than as a town employee, really kind of gives them a lot more flexibility. We don't prescribe as much. Would you guys agree with that, with regards to placement of landscaping? And so what this would do is prescribe landscaping to be placed between the road, and you may want to, so that you're not there's elsewhere, you may want to keep up landscaping requirements between the parking lot and the road. I would strongly suggest you not go with 100% screening, just because of the expense with it. But also because some perceived security sometimes, that you're blocking it, you can't see, you've got glimpses here and there, that there's better security, because there's always eyes on it, so. It's just, thoughts. From the applicant's perspective, what are your all's thoughts on that?
Again, I think we've talked a lot about our goal with new zoning is to de-emphasize the asphalt. And so this was one more step that you can do to, obviously you have to, I have parking, you have to have it, and you have to have enough of it. But how do you spread it out, per se, without having it overwhelm the site? And so we support that. What percentage, you all ultimately have to make that decision. I think that, I agree that if you do the 100%, you may get more than you wanted. But if that's what you want, that's what you'll get. I guess if it was me, we've done a lot of it, and it's not required. So, I would think of the 60% number. Again, you have to have you've gotta give developers, the business owners, the people that are gonna build these things, the flexibility and hope that they use common sense. And I think the idea with the zoning is that unless they really want this, they really, really want to build a beautiful site, they're not going to ask for it.
I apologize, I need to have a group thing that you or Nick, you might be able to educate me. Let's just go with the 60% number, okay? Just, I'm trying to get a visual in my mind. Tell me what the 60% number would do. I'm struggling with, not living in the world, I'm just. That's okay, we'll make this the arts and crafts section. Maybe you guys get a double merit badge out of this deal.
Well, I'm trying. Go ahead, Pam.
It's a good question.
He's going to continue to screen in one location, but for example, if we were to say that 60% of the parking lot must be screened from adjacent roadways, what you would do is you take your lane, and you divide that by, and you multiply it by 60%, then that number of feet would have to have landscaping, so whether they wanted to do pockets, designs, or things like that.
That's what you meant, the 60% would be the length of the parking meter, or the, not using the right word, but I know what I'm trying to say.
The length of the asphalt area,
Yeah,
basically.
okay, that answers it. That's where I was trying to figure, okay, what's the 60% relate to?
Kind of much like what we've done now. If you drive down, Kingston Pike, we have 2,000 feet along Kingston Pike, something around 2,000 feet, and we put these islands that are every so many feet. I'm not sure what they are, but and the idea is to break up, just the monotony of the site. And one of the things you look at these developments, and all of them, if you look at all the new developments, you look at the amount of parking, wow. But you gotta have it. I mean, you go to Costco and it's completely full, so they obviously had to have that, so.
Well, this helps me a bunch, and I appreciate, I guess in thinking about this, my thought is, I agree, you don't want to do it. It's gonna be way too much. I would advocate something, no less than 60. I think 60s, I like 60 as a number, because something, you almost want a little bit of an imbalance. You don't want a 50-50 split, because that kind of strange in the proper circumstances. I would make it more than 75, so I'd be thrilled, content rather than 60 up to 75. More than that gets me too much. Less than that is not quite enough. So that's kind of a sweet spot for me as far as break.
And there's always this. You always got to be concerned that there's one cost to install it. There's a whole nother cost to maintain it. And so sometimes that's not accounted for. And it's that's hard to deal with, but it's there, so.
You think you could add suggestions and have a ring? You know, if it's, I'm just asking this as well. You know, I'm kind of curious, conversations we've had in the last couple of minutes, that nobody's really going more 100% with what good. Could we put in there a range and say no less than 60, no more than 75, or would that create an unintended consequence?
I think basically with the way all of our ordinances are written, we establish that we always have the option to go above. The next question would be, do we want to even prescribe the type of landscape screening? You just say you need to screen it. Since Nick mentioned 60%, prescribe that 60% of the parking lot needs to be screened to limit viewability of the parking lot from the street. Should not add additional landscaping requirements, because if they use berming in some areas, landscaping in others, then you end up with requirements that don't make sense. But it also gives them a little bit more flexibility, because, there's other aspects of our landscaping requirements, for example, detention basins. There has to be landscaping that's required throughout the site, and there has to be landscaping here, and things like that. So it's not like they can take all the landscaping and push it up to that location. There still is landscaping requirements elsewhere. But then that way, it kind of says, okay, this is your goal, show us how you're gonna meet it, and we're gonna give you the flexibility to figure out what works best for you.
And we kind of do it now. I mean, the town doesn't say you have to put X amount of trees here and X amount of trees here. At the same time, before you put in the trees, you call the town and say, could you come out and let me just show you where I'm putting in these trees? Let's make sure we're on the same page. So I think having that continuous communication with staff from obviously the very beginning to the very end of a project is key.
You know, I kind of liken this a little bit back to what you're going to talk about this. First of all, I would have been 60%. Appreciate your comment and stipulation. So I would suggest that. I think after that, we need to the individual developer. The reason I say that is with what the developer has to do with the building in this zone, they're not going to build a beautiful building and put in crappy landscape.
Absolutely.
And again, I think we need to have a certain amount of trust, and I think we've not had that trust abused by the folks, so let's leave that up to them. If we end up with a problem, we need to come back and address it, but I think we need to allow a certain amount of freedom. I can't imagine somebody asking for this or building this somewhere, and then saying, well, I don't do a terrible job of landscaping. That's good. It just doesn't make any sense. I know we're going to find somebody that will test us, perhaps. At this point, I'd rather have a little trust.
Ron, I apologize for my tardiness. I came straight from the airport. Noah Myers, 503 Concord Road. I am speaking on behalf of the applicant tonight. But something I wanted to add, there's another layer that all the landscape plans go through, and that's the VRB. So we have the intent we spelled out in the ordinance. If there's ever any concerns from staff, I suspect Mark Shipley would ask the VRB to interpret to make sure that the particular landscape plan that's before the VRB at that moment meets the intent of the ordinance. So there's a whole other layer in there that would make sure that the screening, whether it's berms or it's landscaping or manicured hedge, that it's appropriate in that particular situation.
Thank you for reminding us of that.
So we have all you need now.
I think so. I feel comfortable with this for writing the ordinance for next time.
Can we turn this right side on this one?
Pardon?
The picture. Come upside down. So,
It does make a little bit more change. Basically, what the drawing is showing that, and how I would write it, is that 60% of the parking lot length that fronts on the street there needs to be a berm or landscaping to limit the viewability 60% how we would calculate that, is you literally would take the full length and then multiply it by 60%, and that's how many, that's the area that needs to be screened somehow. And obviously, if they're doing landscaping, Mark is very good at knowing what, mature sizes are, so he's gonna look at the mature sizes, not gonna look at the 1 gallon plant that's planted at the time of planting. He's gonna look at what's gonna be at, and what's commonly thought of as the mature size of the plant.
We ready to move on? This was again for discussion only tonight, and we will have that drawn up for us.
This, Franklin, to front of the back. Make it clear.
Well, if it fronts on, anytime you front on a street, it's considered a front property line. So in this particular case, this is a front property line on Way Station Trail, and Kingston Pike is a front property line. Even though there is an access easement on the west property line, that is still considered a side as, and then this back here by the creek, that is considered a rear. A rear property line, so anytime it fronts on a street, it is by definition under our ordinance, a front yard.
Item number 8 is discussion of request to rezone parcel 63, tax map 151, located on the southwest corner of Kingston Pike and Way Station Trail, part of the Renaissance development, from C1 to 4th Street Business Zoning District, Iron Brothers Holden Avenue.
We talked about this obviously at the last meeting, but this is the request to rezone the property that is not. The area that is identified with the hash lines, their rezoning request to the new zoning district that we were just discussing. And property currently is owned general commercial, which actually has a much broader range of uses than what would be allowed and what we have listed in the zoning district, DB4 district. And it would, the backside of the property mostly backs up to the detention basin of Renaissance, but a small portion of it does back up to a house that's located in Old Stage Hills. The overall Renaissance development backs up to the Old Stage Hills neighborhood. This particular property backs up to the neighborhood in the southeast corner. Weidel's, of course, is located on the opposite side of the Way Station Trail, and we have the Methodist Church located on the north side of Kingston Pike, and then the rest of the Renaissance development to the southwest of this site. As you know, the property is currently vacant. It was graded out as part of the Renaissance development, so it's flat. The access, when we review the course of time on the site plans review, it's not part of the zoning. That would be the case, whether it remains C1 district or if it is rezoned to the BD district. Here is the zoning, the area, pink being general commercial, yellow being residential. And light blue being office, is north, east of it is residential. West of it is commercial on both sides of the road.
This is good.
Have any questions? start out with a question, Ruth. So you, by this zoning, it would only be, a building for business as opposed to commercial, like restaurants, a gas station?
Restaurants would still be allowed, so there would be able to be outdoor seating with the restaurant in this new district, but you wouldn't be able to have a drive-through. So kind of eliminating fast food restaurants, mostly because we are also requiring that there be a minimum of 2 stories in the buildings, but so we kind of needed this group center type of thing. But it would not have, like you said, the outdoor sales and storage. We would be able to have a gas station, and we'd be able to have automotive repair, anything like that in this district. So in that respect, the uses that would be allowed in this district would be much more restricted than the uses that's currently allowed on the property. Because it's also
Anybody have any questions? You would come to the podium, please give us your name and address.
Bear with me if I stutter. My name is Patsy Love, and my address is 12638 Wagon Hill Circle, Noble Stage Hills. One of our concerns in this we're not so much, I don't think, as a neighborhood in objection to the zoning change as we are as a neighborhood in objection to any part of that site exiting onto Way Station Trail. Okay, that's a residential street. I know it's basically going to be a business building. If you stop and think about it, business buildings come and go basically 8 o'clock at night, leave at, come to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, leave at 5 o'clock at night. That's the same time everyone in our neighborhood is coming and going. What kind of impact is that going to have on the traffic in our neighborhood? Just recently when they had the German Fest there, that was a huge issue. They let people park in that that area where it's going to be parking lot. They were pulling out onto Way Station Trail. I had to leave my house that evening to go out. I almost got hit by people pulling out because there's that island there, and they didn't want to go around the island to the correct side of the road to drive on. They're trying to drive on the side of the oncoming traffic. You know, so I think it's going to be a huge problem with traffic exiting and entering off the Way Station Trail. I think local coordination that's here agrees with me on this. That's not good for our neighborhood. You know, it's a small residential street, one lane, you know, going each direction with an island in the middle, right where they're going to be exiting from that parking lot. That's my comments. Does anyone else from our neighborhood have comments? Wayne?
Good evening, my name is, Wayne Allball, and I live at 12645 Pony Express Drive. And if you come in there, a subdivision, and climb that hill and go west, my house backs up to the last building the Myers Brothers built back there. It's that was the zone office, according to the zone map. I've known Nick and Owen for 20 years maybe. Good neighbors, no problems. I'm coming out of speed a little slowly on this. Excuse me, I'm also getting over a bad case of my face. And I was told that they're going to come in off the way station. Well, we got a problem with traffic there for quite some time. And being there 24 years now, I'm seeing it get worse and worse like everywhere else. I leave to go to work at about 10 minutes after 7 every morning. I go left or west to get on Watt Road, get on the interstate. And it's getting very hard for me in the morning to make a left-hand turn. And I got to thinking about it as I drove by every morning at 10 after 7. Most of the Renaissance is an empty parking lot right now. But sometime between 6:30 and 8:30 in the morning, and days when I've been off and happen to go by there, there's already in the Renaissance somewhere between 50 and 70 cars. So now you're talking about building another building
I may have my facts wrong, I've been told there could be as many as 150 employees in that building. I'm not a traffic engineer, but we're looking at maybe 200 cars coming in. You got 3 or 4 school buses that come in there in that subdivision every morning. There's about 165 houses in the subdivision, and let's say for ballpark numbers, there's 100 of us that we go to work with. So you got 100, well, they may not all go out that way because there's another way out of our subdivision. But let's say for sake of argument, you got 60, 70 people trying to get down that hill, making a left on the Kingston Pike or right for that matter, getting out while you've got anywhere between 100 to 200 cars trying to come in. My wife and I and my daughter attend First Farragut United Methodist Church, which is right across the street on the north side of Kingston. And I recall being up here before when we were doing all the preparation for the building, that there was some discussion of having a red light at the western entrance to the Renaissance, up the hill with the church traffic on Sunday. And I don't know really what happened to that, I didn't follow it, but obviously that's a thing of the past. We've also heard there's going to be a traffic light at Everett Road when all that construction gets done. And I don't think any of us really wants traffic lights every 200 or 300 yards. But it appears to me in the morning you're going to have quite a traffic jam there at Way Station Trail at Kingston Pike. That's my only concern. That's the only thing I have of any doubt about or any question mark in my mind. Building, setback, zoning, I'm fine. Landscaping, they've done a great job on the Renaissance, no problem. But traffic's going to be something to consider. Appreciate you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to comment tonight?
How Phil is coming to the podium, obviously the concerns that have been expressed really are more of something at the time of site plan approval with regard to access. As part of that, traffic impact study will be required with at that time. And to address the question about the traffic signal at the western entrance and at the church entrance, there isn't enough traffic coming out of Renaissance and the church to warrant a traffic signal on Kingston Pike. Someday there may be enough traffic coming out of Old Stage Hills to have a traffic signal at Way Station Trail. It will really be dependent on what else.
Let me add to that Kingston Pike is a state road, and therefore, you probably noticed the state does the snow cleaning on Kingston Pike, not us. But being that it's their road, they get to decide when and where red lights will go. We can have some influence on it, but we cannot necessarily prevail on it. And we hear this from time to time, we need a light so someplace. But it's anywhere in Kingston Pike, just about, we can have something to do with it. We still do traffic counts and see something they just wanted to know that's the situation with them.
Phil Dangle, 725 Andover Boulevard in Farragut. I'm here as a member of the EDC, the Economic Development Committee. And I would like to see this building built. I understand, or now more understanding of the issues of traffic than I was an hour ago, and traffic lights. But I'm here strictly to talk about what this would help do for the town economically. This is what I like about the building. What I like about the building is the end user would bring employees of a higher pay scale, or a higher pay structure into the town of Farragut. People that will shop in Farragut, people that will spend money, retail money in Farragut, and are well-paid employees at South. So from an economic point of view, strictly an economic point of view, I think it's very beneficial to the town. Number two, I hate to lose this to another part of Knoxville. Obviously, again, for the economic reasons. And number three, I think we need to continue to be flexible in our decision-making on helping businesses come to Farragut. mayor has done a tremendous job in helping to change our image. But we have a long, long way to go on that. And I just think, economically speaking, this is the right thing for us.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else that has any comments?
Hi, I'm Doug Johnson at 129 Street, Butterfield Lane, and Mill State. I just wanted to kind of follow up with what Wayne was talking about. And, I've been in subdivision now for 25 years, and a lot of times I go the other way, and I come back this way. So I make the left-hand turn on the Way Station Trail, and there's just a lot of traffic coming from Loudoun County that goes into Weigels. And you would think that they're going to Weigels off of Kingston Pike. Well, they go into Weigels off Way Station Trail, meander around the island and get in there. Now, if you add all this traffic that's going to be coming into that entrance, plus the other traffic, we're going to have a lot more situations taking place. So that's just an observation that I've seen for the last 25 years. People come into Weigels, they don't make the turn off of Kingston Pike, they make it into Way Station Trail and meander around. And you're going to meander around right where that entrance is going to come out. So I don't have a problem, I'm new to what's going on here too, so I think one entrance into this whole place, coming from the other side, is probably the best beneficial thing to do. But coming off the Way Station Trail, it's going to add a lot of traffic going back and forth, especially during the peak times that Wayne was talking about. But also people coming off Kingston Pike and into Weigels too. Just thought I'd explain that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Old Station.
Old State Road. It's, how's that being modified? It's just,
Old State Water Road Extension.
yeah.
That will change some aspects of the traffic patterns. I think that also when the traffic signal was put in at Everett Road, the neighborhood will see a difference. I remember when Millie Bass served on this commission, and she had concerns with access into her clinic because of where the Kmart entrance was at that point in time and everything. And we added a traffic signal going into the high school there across from Old Road. And Daryl assured her that it was going to make getting into her business easier. And she argued against it, and then after a couple months, she came complaining to me. She said, I don't know how Daryl knew, but he was right. But there will be a difference in because it does create breaks in the traffic. What happens from the eastbound traffic from Loudoun County, we're far enough away at that entrance from Watt Road where the traffic is already separated out, it is no longer clumps, so you don't quite get the great breaks from that direction. It should help from the westbound traffic coming from Everett Road with creating a bit more breaks in the traffic. Yeah.
I'd like to address actually all three members of those, H. Hills, Ms. Olaf, and Wayne, and Mr. Jones now. The Oktoberfest traffic was a mess. I'll be the first to admit that. Oktoberfest and Lindenhof was absolutely overwhelmed. The entry-exit pattern that was kind of designed, there was a couple of parking areas. The entry-exit pattern on Way Station was poorly designed, trying to feed that traffic out. It was basically an open, well, there's a small, short curve there, but it was an open area. And my Rotary Club was there volunteering, we were there volunteering, trying to help people go. And we did see people turn left before the island, which is a disaster. Obviously we are very sensitive to traffic issues. We've tried for many years to really be good neighbors, and the Old State Hills folks have been great neighbors of us. And a lot of them are folks that actually live in Old State Hills and actually work in Renaissance. And a lot of them come down and come to the farmers market on Saturday. So we really try to have a good relationship. So we are very sensitive to the traffic concerns. We saw the mess at the Oktoberfest, even though it was a success for Linderhof. I was personally embarrassed by it because it, 'cause at the end of the day, I was associated with it, and we were happy that they had a real good turnout, but that Friday night was a mess. And I think there was, with some good civil design and some good traffic studying and trying to determine traffic that's coming in westbound and traffic that's coming in eastbound, trying to get the traffic efficiently around the building. I think what you saw at Oktoberfest, hopefully you would never see again. And the way that a lot of big corporate employers are nowadays, they use these flex schedules, and so it's not like you got first shift or second shift or third shift. They got flex schedules, and they got some people that come in at 6, and they want to get off early so they can be home with their kids, so they're home at 3, and you got some folks that come in at 7 and 8, 9, 10. So they all kind of trickle in. Ed South is an international company. They service clients all around the world, so they kind of got to determine different times of the day to be there. So it's not everybody coming and going at the same time. But I guess I wanted to make a commitment to the Old Stage Hills homeowners that we're very sensitive to the traffic. We want to make sure that we minimize any kind of inconvenience that you would ever observe, and try to work through this. And the town has a pretty strict policy when it comes to trying to determine what kind of traffic generator a future business will be, and to run through this. And the civil engineers go through a pretty lengthy analysis trying to determine traffic patterns, total traffic count, and so forth. But nevertheless, I guess if that helps address this, and we can work through this if we get past this stage and we get to the actual site plan and we start looking at ingress and egress and actual location of where the curb cut, where it's tied in, and where we go out the Renaissance side or the Way Station Trail side. Make sure somebody doesn't try to do what they did at Oktoberfest. I think there's some good ways traffic engineers can come up with this, and the staff, and input from the homeowner association to alleviate your concerns.
Anyone else have any questions? Nolan? In that case, we have no further discussion. See this, are we going to see both of these next month, Ruth?
Yes, we will.
Item number 9, public hearing on proposed location of the new utilities.
No, we have none this month.
So the November 15th, 2012 meeting of the Farragut Municipal Planning Commission is adjourned. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight.